being at an anime convention, especially when you're cosplaying, creates a degree of connectivity automatically that you don't even realize you have. And it makes it a lot easier to kind of open up to other people.
Welcome to Rose Related Podcast. I'm Alex, and I help shy, introverted nerds get over their fears and anxieties to find their player too. Today, I bring you Matthew Lewis to talk about Animé Los Angeles, a convention where you can meet other nerds organically. Now, even though this podcast is about dating, Animé Los Angeles is not made for you to go with the only goal of finding dates. The idea is for you to go make friends, and that by expanding your social network, you may get to meet your player too. So with that being said, Matt, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So what is Animé Los Angeles? Can you just give us a short overview?
Yeah. So Animé Los Angeles, it's a mid-sized anime convention that's here in the Los Angeles County area that is a very fan-focused event where we have a lot of cool interactive programming that's geared towards people connecting with each other, hanging out, making new friends, getting to be a part of the experience and celebrating like the fandom of anime, cosplaying, gaming, and Japanese media.
Awesome. Sounds really cool. So for many people, when they go to a convention, an event, whatever, some people go to buy toys. Some people go to meet celebrities or whatever. Some people want to go to just make friends and meet like-minded people. What kind of activities or events are in Animé Los Angeles so that they can break the ice, right? Because it's sometimes hard to say, like, I'm standing there, I'm alone, or I'm with my friends.
Yeah.
How do I meet people?
Yeah. So conventions, I think, honestly, are a really great place for that type of connectivity. I know at Animé Los Angeles and I know at other conventions, we do a lot of different types of programming tracks. And then one specifically is interactives. So these are panels, programs, game shows that are all geared towards having members of the community, members of the audience participate in those. And then we even have within that track a set number of programs that are dedicatedly like icebreakers. So it's like, hey, we have a literal convention icebreakers panel. So it's a good opportunity for people who want to actively go make some friends, meet some new people, or try to have like a buddy for the weekend. That's a good place to go. A lot of the game shows and other things that we do are built around multi-person participation. So, it's a great opportunity. Maybe you'll get put on a team with a few people. Like this year, one of our program hosts did an otaku family feud. So, you're pulling up like 3 or 4 people together. A lot of the audience members submitted and filled out answers before the show. So there's tons of different opportunities at the convention itself for people to just participate in something fun and then make some friends while they're doing it.
When I hear like a panel with like icebreakers and stuff, I'm fine because like I like being on stage. So I like just being the clown of the class, right? But for many people, I know that might sound scary, right? It's like,
Sure.
What's an icebreaker panel? Like, do I have to like talk in front of everybody? Do I have to like start mingling with everybody? Can you explain a bit like how that works?
So a lot of conventions tend to do this type of panel specifically just because it does, facilitate that need of making friends. So sometimes it comes in the form of like speed dating. So like it's you show up, everybody sits at different tables, and it's little one-on-one sessions. Sometimes it might be groups of people getting together and like taking turns sharing things with the room. But more often than not, the idea is really focused to like not put you on the spot and make you feel awkward. You want to feel welcome. You want to, again, melt that ice.
Yeah.
So the idea is, okay, hey, maybe turn to the person next to you. Maybe the person who's sitting across from you at the table, and it's just like next 10 minutes, we're going to open the floor with talk about your favorite anime show, or like what's a manga that really got you excited, and trying to pluck those, common interest topics out of people that like really get you going. And I feel that like anime fans, that part is really easy because everybody's obviously very passionate about the certain things that brought them to an event like this. So as soon as you start talking about it, that really gets people going. And even from my own personal experience, I feel that like being at an anime convention, especially when you're cosplaying, it creates a degree of connectivity automatically that you don't even realize you have, and it makes it a lot easier to kind of open up to other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the main reason why always suggest like find something that you like and go meet people around that thing because you already have something in common. Right?
Yeah.
Like in my case, when I was a teenager, I've talked about this many times on the podcast, but I basically grew up within a Tolkien association. And as soon as I got there, everybody was into Lord of the Rings, the books,
Hmm.
everything. And it's like, we already know each other, basically. We already
Yeah.
have a topic of conversation right from the start, right? And if you go to a convention, which is around a topic that you're passionate about, then it's much easier to connect. So I
Yeah.
totally get what you're saying. And I like that you guys like it's because speed dating is often really scary because you're there to date,
Yeah.
right? And it's like I have to sort of
You gotta pump yourself up a little bit and
exactly like and if you leave with like no numbers or something, it feels like a failure, right?
yeah.
Versus in this case, at what point in the like how long is the event usually?
So are we talking the panel or the convention?
No, the convention.
So the convention, so Anime Los Angeles is a 4 day event. A lot of conventions typically do 3 days, so just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But depending on like holidays and time, some events and their size, they can do the 4 day thing.
Yeah, but like let's say Animé Los Angeles because that's what we're talking
Yeah.
about, right? So it's 4 days. Um, at what point or how often are there some like events where people can meet each other and break the ice?
So normally there's something like every day. One of the big focuses that we try to put emphasis on for our convention is that we want to make sure that uh no matter what time of the day you're at the con, there is something for you to do. We do that both with, we have guest programming, we have interactive things, we have main events, features, and other stuff like that. But then also what we try to do is if there's something that very much seems like maybe this is going to be the big draw of the day over here, that we have counter programming where it's like, well, maybe this doesn't line up with my interests. I can come over here and I can try out this other thing instead. And then we try to make sure that we have those interactive programmings. We have workshops. There was a panel that we've had a couple years now that a friend of mine runs that I think is really great, which is Model Kits and Chill. And basically he buys a number of kind of like low grade to reasonable grade modeling kits, whether it's Gundams or just any die cut assembly figures like Pokemon, Digimon, etc. But it's just come into the room, hang out for an hour and a half, make model kits with friends, and yeah,
That sounds like a great thing. Like, so you
yeah,
basically, I often suggest board games for people who
oh
don't
yeah,
really want to make too much of conversation. Like there was someone on Threads actually who was like, "Where do I meet people if I don't like people?" It's like, well, it's tricky, but I
yeah,
think board games gives you a way of like, okay, I'm doing this thing, and when I feel like it, I can talk. And what you're saying right now is pretty much like a similar thing. Like I have an activity that I'm gonna go and do. I can just do the activity, or I can talk to other people. I can
yeah.
say like, hey, yours looks cool, or how do I do this, and just like start conversations that way.
It's like having a nice little waiting pool for socializing. You can kind of just you can take your steps. You don't have to
Yeah,
dive in.
yeah, yeah. I love it. And the reason that was asking how often and when you have the events is you go to the icebreaker or you go to the activity, right? You meet people. What happens then, right? Because it's
Right.
like for many people, it will be like, if I don't leave that place with friends,
Yeah.
then I failed, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll share what I think, and then like you can say like what you usually see. So for me, the way they would work is I would go there, meet a bunch of people, and then maybe I'll stick around chatting with someone after that, or I'll just go do something else. And because the event is 4 days, I'll keep running into those people that I already talked to before. And even if it's just, hey, because I saw you before, right? Or questioned, hey, do you know where, whatever? I already talked to you at the Icebreaker event, right? And I have 4 days. So there is time to sort of build that connection. Is that
Yeah.
how you see it, or how do you?
Yeah, actually, I think it's really pretty much just like that. A lot of times we do see exactly that, where people go to an event, they have a lot of fun, they find an interest or an engagement to it, and then after that panel is over, maybe that event ends, there's a lot of time where people kind of maybe they'll just congregate, enjoy that moment, and kind of sit in it a little bit. And obviously, if it's early in the event weekend, it's great to just be like, "Oh man, that was so cool! All right, well." Maybe this is what I'm up to tomorrow. Maybe I'll see you there. Or like, oh, did you guys enjoy this? Here's something else that's happening this weekend. Maybe that's a thing. Um, so there's all that potential, right? Where you have now created a common interest moment, and then you have the rest of the weekend to kind of sit and let that grow naturally instead of having to worry about fostering it very aggressively in just like a cold turkey kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah, because when you go to a speed dating event, you go to the event, you're out, you don't see those
Yeah,
people anymore, right?
exactly.
And you have those 3 minutes to either make it or not. Versus if you go to the Icebreaker event, you like if I'm busy or if I want to go see something else, I'll be like, okay, I've talked to everybody, I'm out, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be a failure because later I have 2 or 3 more days where I'm going to run into those people.
yeah,
So I didn't mention this at the beginning, but you're engaged to Elise, who I already
yes,
interviewed in the podcast. So we have, let's just say, we have the full, real, true story from her side only.
sure,
We're not gonna go into your story again, but you guys met cosplaying,
yeah,
and I've seen often people saying like, I went to a convention and I was really afraid to talk to a cosplayer or talk to a content creator or talk to whatever. And I know it can be sort of like a fine line between the cosplayers want to be nice to the people talking to them, as well as some people go over the line and then it turns into the cosplayers not feeling uncomfortable.
yeah.
And so my question would be like, if someone sees somebody that they want to talk to, whether it is because they like their cosplay, because they're content creators, because they find them attractive, because there's something caught their attention, doesn't really matter. How do you, Elise, other cosplayers, how do you want to be approached?
So for myself, usually the way I would like to be approached, um, I'm usually very fine either A, somebody recognizes what I'm cosplaying as, and maybe they make reference to it. Like I cosplayed Leon from Pokemon Sword and Shield, and he's a very popular character. He's a very main focal figure in that game. So there's a lot of people who will like see me in that costume and then they'll maybe like make a gesture that he makes or they'll reference a line or two or something like that. And because it's a Pokemon game, there's already that familiarity. So maybe someone will be like, "Oh, I want to challenge you to a Pokemon battle or something." I always love that. For me personally, as a cosplayer, I love getting involved and engaging and kind of doing the play of cosplaying.
Mhm.
So I always enjoy that. The other thing that I've come to be very comfortable with also is knowing that because I'm in cosplay, there is automatically that first level of connectivity. Where somebody may just approach me in a more comfortable manner because I'm cosplaying a character they recognize, something that does just look interesting to them. And I've had countless occasions where I've had strangers approach me just to be like, "Hey, all of this thing, and oh, you look so cool," and then just start talking at me. And it's
At
endearing
you.
though because yes, I've had some moments where I've had not it's still a little bit of a one-sided conversation, but I also know that it comes from like a good place because someone's
Yeah.
just excited. There was a convention I went to years ago where I cosplayed as Deku from My Hero Academia, and somebody came up to me and was just like, "Oh my gosh, it's Deku! You look so cool!" And then they just started talking, and they went on from one tangent to the next, and maybe it was like 5-ish minutes of time. And I was with some other friends. We were having an existing conversation, but this guy approached me because I was in cosplay, and that we had that moment. And he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go do my thing now. I'll catch you later." And then he left. And my friends were like, "Do you know this person?" It's like, "No, I don't." But like, he thought my costume was cool and he felt comfortable chatting. So like, that's awesome. I'm glad that he got to have that moment.
Yeah.
So that's usually my personal standpoint is I'm very open. As long as I'm not doing something very obvious or like I don't seem like I'm in distress or like hyper focused or busy on something, I'm very, very relaxed and flexible with people engaging me while I'm in cosplay because that's the point. It's why I got dressed
Yeah.
up. I want people to talk to me and engage, and I want to meet other people who like the thing I like because then we get to have those fun little connective moments. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I started doing every month I do improv games for conversation skills. And one of the things is like just a short structure, like mention something about what the other person said or something about the person, something about how you relate, and then a question, right? So like keep it short and engaging with the other person. And that way you can also tell whether the other person wants to keep talking to you or not.
yeah, no, that's really cool.
And it doesn't have to be like it's not necessarily personal, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
like you're in a conversation with friends, you're happy to engage with someone else for a bit, but you don't want to sort of just like stand there being talked at
Yeah.
or talked to, right?
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like I think with cosplayers, it's often quite easy because if you recognize the character, if you see something that you like, you can just go there and be like, "Hey, I really like this. Awesome!" And then you can see if they want to chat or not.
Yeah.
That's apart from that. How do you see other cosplayers? Like, how do they feel about people approaching them? And like, where is the line where people start maybe feeling uncomfortable? You just mentioned one, like when you're being talked to versus
Yeah.
talked with.
So I think that for most cosplayers, there is again also that desire. It's like I got dressed up for a reason. I've gone to this event for a reason. I want to either be recognized for what I'm wearing or meet other people who have that similar interest. So I think 9 times out of 10, it's pretty easy to approach. I think the line usually kind of gets drawn when there is that social cue of like, okay, I myself as the person have reached my limit of how I want to continue conversing, and maybe the other party doesn't pick up on that, or it's I think the most common for cosplayers is times in which cosplayers are not open to being interacted with, predominantly with like maybe a photo or something. So a wig is off, or a piece of the garment's been removed, or they're eating. Those are very common times. I think that cosplayers are just like, please don't look at me, don't talk to me. I
I'm
don't.
ugly right now.
Yeah, I've had those moments, and I feel like it's gotten much better over the years. I think as cosplay and anime became more mainstream, a lot more people kind of got caught up with the culture, and part of that culture is obviously respecting other people, understanding consent and the various levels they come in, and because even like 10 years ago, I could be at like a fast food place eating a burger, fully in costume, and I would have people like, "Can I get your photo real quick?" And it's like, I look disgusting. I'm shoveling food in my mouth. One year I was at a San Diego Comic Con with some friends and my brother, and we were working on top of just being at the events. We were cosplayers for hire for a thing, and it was busy. So we were like, okay, we need to take a lunch break. We're tired, and we're like half out of costume. Wigs are off, masks are off, props and things, and we're sitting in this Wendy's eating food. And these people come up and like, oh my God, you guys are the Street Fighters. Can we get your photo? And it's just like we're all just sitting there, just no, please. I'm hungry. I just want to eat, man.
Yeah.
So,
I,
but it's
I
gotten a lot better.
I find it really interesting that you said like hired, right? Like you
Yeah.
guys were working as
Mm,
cosplayers. And it's not just the event hiring cosplayers just to so that you can see them.
yeah.
I think part of it is so that you can interact with them. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's and even if they were not hired, because like people may not tell like who's hired and who's not, but or invited. If you go on cosplay, you most likely want to interact with people
Yeah.
on some level. Right. And you touched on consent, and I would really like to talk about that. So within Animé Los Angeles, how do you guys handle that? Like, somebody comes to you because they felt uncomfortable. Like, what do you guys do? How does that work?
Mhm. So the very first thing that we start with, obviously, is that we have a number of policies for the event. So we have things for props, we have things for information, and then obviously we have harassment policies. So our non-harassment policy follows aligned with a movement that was very popular in cosplay that started up about like 10 years ago called cosplay is not consent. I don't know if you're familiar with the term.
I heard the term, yes.
Okay. So it basically that came about because there were lots of cosplayers who felt that because they were in cosplay, it was people were thinking that that was free reign to interact, touch, speak to, or behave a certain way negatively towards cosplayers, and it's obviously not. It's not acceptable to invalidate a person or invade their personal space or touch them without permission. So a lot of conventions, including Animé Los Angeles, have adopted the cosplay is not consent moniker in a way to just have this very well understood colloquial phrase to go, hey, just because people are dressed up does not mean you get automatic access to these people. You must ask people for permission for things, whether that's to touch them, to touch their costume, to take their photos, to interact, anything. And no means no. There is no open to interpretation. If someone tells you no to a request you have, that's the end of that discussion. If you continue to pursue it further, you're subject to the penalties that may come from the convention. Within our show, what we also do is we have different avenues for people to make reports for things. We have a text line that we have running throughout the convention. So if somebody is in distress, if there is an incident or a concern, they can send a text message from their phone to us, and we have staff that dedicatedly watch that throughout the entire day. We have a public Discord where people can submit reports or submit inquiries if they have any concerns. They can contact admins and moderators. And then on site at the show, we have a department that is labeled con ops or the convention operations. And those are the people who usually handle any types of reports of misconduct. If there's, a concern for safety, those are the people that they can go to. They can file reports, and then those people are trained to follow up and check in on those types of situations, or at the very least, if it's something maybe like in passing something bad happened to you and there's no way to really address it in that moment, you could still go to ConOps, make those reports, and now there is dedicated security staff who are aware of the thing that may have gone on, and they can now keep eyes out for the rest of the weekend to ensure that that doesn't happen to other people.
When I hear that, it sounds really scary. I
Yeah.
know, I know what we're talking about, and I know
Yeah.
what degree, but like for some people, sometimes the fear is I don't want to be that person that then
Yeah.
gets the sort of like the message to Discord or to the text, and then security going for them,
Yeah.
right? Most often, those people who are worried about it are not the
Yeah.
ones that you have to be worried about.
Yeah, it definitely does sound a little scary. I would say also as a person who works for a convention and fields these types of requests or fields these types of concerns as well, there are some that come in that are concerning, and we have to take those seriously. But also we still use our best judgment to look at something, and we're always going to give the person reporting the benefit of the doubt to be like, okay, this sounds like you were upset by this thing. We'll look into it. But if it turns out that it is, maybe a misunderstanding or miscommunication, at the very least, we have the ability to look into that ourselves, talk about it, confront people who might need to be confronted, and get to the bottom of those things. And in the grand scheme, we don't see a lot of these incidents popping up that require us to then go out and find, bad faith people. I know it sounds scary, but it doesn't happen very often. And we have a very large sized event. We're in the tens of thousands of attendees. And I myself have maybe seen four or five, like, hey, this person was weird. This person said something that made me double take, and that's about it. It's nothing ever super alarming, but we do our best to make sure that everybody is safe and comfortable. And if somebody has a problem, we want to make sure that they're heard.
Yeah, and those people who said something off or whatever, they weren't kicked out straight up.
Yeah. Most cases it's not. It's
Yeah,
usually like a hey, we're gonna talk to you. We're gonna make sure that we're all under the same page. You know, if it's something minor, obviously it's a this is your warning. Please don't do that again. Now you know we
exactly.
can continue on with our weekend. Parties separate. Don't engage each other if you guys aren't clicking. You know, it's that
Yeah,
simple.
no, that's great because for some people there's this fear of like, oh, like if I approach someone and start talking to them and I may do something wrong and they may feel uncomfortable, I may get like, I don't know, kicked out or something. But usually that's not the case.
Yeah,
And even if someone has some sort of issue, you guys will jump in and talk about it and maybe, if necessary, give a warning. But it's not straight up of I offended someone and then I'm gonna get kicked out, right? So
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
really wanted to make that sort of distinction. And everyone, just so you know, there is a Discord. It's open the whole time. So my suggestion is go right now, start making friends. And that way, when the event starts, you can just say, hey, let's meet at this place. And you can already start with people that you know. So you don't have to wait for the event to start making friends. You can start right now. And then you can say, hey, let's meet before the event. Let's meet at the event. Let's meet after the event, even. So my suggestion is go join the Discord. And also, the next Animé Los Angeles is going to happen from January 9th to the 12th. You can go to animelosangeles.org to get the tickets. And yeah, they're on sale right now. So just go. And Matt, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.